Hello, welcome to another video. Today I want to share my top 8 favorite cool toned eyeshadow palettes because I feel like there is way more warm tone palettes than there are cool tone palettes. I have some from every price point, some big, some small. Depending on what you like, I think there's going to be a gem in here for you to try next. Before we start, I have some very exciting news to share with you. I'm launching my personalized makeup picks, which are all about making sure that you get the absolute best products for your beauty needs, no matter what that is. So no more wasting time guessing or shopping through products that don't end up working for you. It's super easy. All you have to do is fill out a really quick, fun questionnaire about your makeup preferences in your current makeup routine, and then I will personally handpick the best products to fit your routine. With this launch, I'm also doing a very exciting offer where the first 5 people to get their own personalized makeup pick will also get a personal video from me. I'll be talking over your picks a little bit, and it's just going to be a super fun opportunity. And if you're ready to find your makeup favorites, head to the link in the description. Spots are limited, and those first 5 spots will get those personalized videos from me. But thanks for listening. I'm really excited to help you all discover your makeup favorites. Let's go ahead and hop in my cool toned palette favorites. Seeing where I want to start here, I think I want to go with this palette, which is from Flower Nose. This is their Cloud Color Collection embossed 6-color makeup palette. The packaging matches me perfectly. This is an absolutely gorgeous palette. It almost feels painful using these gorgeous products, but the actual embossing on the products I feel like stay actually quite a good amount of time. These are really beautiful soft pastels that have many other very pretty cool toned colorways in this sort of palette collection as well. I like these as a pink option. This dusty pink is so pretty. It's really natural. These are pastel and they're soft. They're not ultra pigmented, so if you have more pale skin and you want something just very like natural every day or just like natural looking in general, I think this would be a good pick. I love that you get these 2 fun shimmers in the middle here along with the 4 mattes. Having a palette that is more dominant in mattes I always find way more wearable than just having a bunch of shimmers, so I think they balance that really well. The feel of these eyeshadows are very smooth, and these mattes are very true soft mattes. I think this is a great more beginner palette too, because like I mentioned, they're not too pigmented. Sometimes when we think of eyeshadow, usually the most pigmented is like considered the best, but depending on what you actually like your makeup to look like, for me max pigment isn't always the best, and it can actually be quite difficult to work with. So that's why I do really like these colors. They work together so beautifully, but you can tell they still have that nice pigment to them. This brown over here I always use as a liner, or you can use it when you want to add drama to a look. So even though it's a smaller palette, there's just so much you could do with this one. Next, let's move over to this sort of medium sized palette. This is a 9-pan palette from ColourPop. This is the Lavish. I actually did not check if they still have this. 1 second. They do still have it, and it is only $10 at the moment, which is very awesome. So this is their Lavish palette, which is a very cool toned, like, I'm not playing around when I'm saying cool tone palette. This is like true cool tone. It's a very blue purple kind of palette. With a lot of palettes that I've tried, sometimes the purples are a little bit more like neutral or like warmer, sort of like an eggplant purple, whereas this kind of purple palette, it has a lot of blue in it, so it leans a lot more icy if you're more into that pastel true cool toned kind of look. There's so many fun shades in here, a lot of pretty shimmers, and then you do have 4 mattes. This one I use as a shadow liner. I always use just the deepest matte color usually for an eyeliner. There's a lot to play around with here, and I think ColourPop just always nails the formula. You get a glitter up here, and there's just like, it's fun, and you could definitely make this wearable. Sometimes you see palettes like this, you're like, no way, but it definitely work. I do have a tutorial on this palette if you want to see it. There's the swatches of the 4 mattes. If you've never used ColourPop eyeshadow before, their formulas are kind of mind-blowing for the price actually, especially since this is 10 bucks right now. So they're nice and smooth. Again, not super heavy on the pigment, but these are really smooth. I find with cool tones, if a company or brand does them and they just don't get them right, they can can be chalky and patchy really easily, but I find this palette very smooth and workable, and it doesn't give you that, like, you know, the dusty kind of look that you can get with these lighter pastel tones, and it's just gorgeous. We also have some of the metallics. This one is this shade here, which looks matte, but it does have a little bit of a glitter in it. If you're familiar with the ColourPop formulas, you'll probably know which one I'm talking about. Again, super smooth, a lot of fun finishes to play around with. And you also get this very unique glitter shade right at the top there, which is like, I don't know how to describe this ColourPop formula. It's literally like a glitter gel kind of vibe called Virtual Love. So that could be a really like fun one to pop on the lid. Next are definitely my most used eyeshadow palettes on the everyday basis. So that would be the Natasha Denona I Need a Nude palette and the Xenon palette. Now I wouldn't necessarily say I Need a Nude is a very true cool tone palette. It's more of a neutral cool tone palette, but let me open these up because I did mix them together. So if you want to see them in their original form, I do have review videos on both of them. But this is the I Need a Nude shell, and then these are the shadows that I mixed from both the Xenon and the I Need a Nude. Quickly go over which ones are from Xenon. This top three here, this shimmery white, and then this shimmery silver, and then the rest of them are from the I Need a Nude palette. So even though I do have the predominantly I Need a Nude colors in here, I do reach for the Xenon ones the most. You can see I hit pan on this matte, well, it's a white with a little bit of shimmer in it from the Xenon palette. And then this would be the leftovers from both of those palettes, which is mostly the shimmers. And then we just have one matte gray, which I would still use sometimes on the everyday basis as like a liner or something. Between these two, like just having these for months and months now, I've probably used more of the Xenon shade. But if you're more of like a neutral cool tone person, I think that I Need a Nude you might end up using more. But with that being said, I love having both of these because this like pink shimmer from the I Need a Nude is gorgeous too, and like these taupes and browns. It's really hard to decide between the two, but if you're feeling the same way as I am and maybe need some clarity in this video of which one would be best for you, you can get those personalized makeup picks from me in the description. And remember, the spots are limited, and the first 5 get that personalized video from me. Just to pull a couple of my favorites from this palette, the matte white here is the one that I've hit pan on. I can't tell you how much having a very light AK white shade in my eyeshadow routine is important, because I'd always pull from a different palette to get a light enough shade. You know, sometimes with makeup eyeshadow palettes, they have a light color, but it's like on fair skin ends up being like kind of dark, like, and it's not a highlight shade. That's why I reach for a white. This white shimmer is like a perfect, more subtle go-to metallic. And then these two are like that really glassy. They're a smooth glitter, like microfine glitter. They look so pretty. I wear these in like almost every one of my videos. Like, I use them all the freaking time, so I love them. Let's hop over to this palette that I feel like is very underrated. This is the old packaging from Ilia. This is definitely too old, like I should not be using this, but it's the Ilia Cool Nude The Necessary Eyeshadow Palette. They do still have this. It's in their new white packaging. And this is just such a great little 6-pan, like portable, travel friendly, just everyday kind of like actually cool toned palette. So you get 4 mattes in here. You get like a nice transition shade, that lilac, and then I always like mix these two or use them on their own as a shadow liner. And then you have this deep purple also I've used as eyeliner, or if you want to create something a little bit more dramatic. But they also have this like mid-tone taupe, which is a very pretty, slightly more like grungier type of everyday color. These metallics are very, very smooth, by the way. You're not getting a lot of like glitter. So if you like something just like a little bit more undetectable, I guess would be the word, then these metallics are very great. And the mattes are amazing formulas too. They're smooth, they're workable, they have that nice amount of pigment. Like, look at this purple when you blend it down. It's just so smooth and gorgeous. You could really go glam or everyday with this. So if you're maybe more of like a minimal makeup person, or you want something a bit smaller that can still do a lot, I think this one is very nice. Next we have Miss Charlotte Tilbury. Now, a little bit of a caveat with this one. First off, I'm not like a Charlotte Tilbury super fan at all. Most of her makeup I feel like is severely overrated and not that good, especially if you like cool tone makeup. Like Pillow Talk is just, that's a warm pink, you know? Anyway, that's for another day. This is the Luxury palette from Charlotte Tilbury, which is my favorite Charlotte Tilbury product that I've tried. These are the 4-pan palettes. Now the caveat that I mentioned is that they no longer have this specific colorway. I just wanted to mention this formula though, because if you like metallics, this is like, it's a luxury product for sure, but like the metallics are so unique and creamy and gorgeous, and they do have really pretty cool tone colorways. I will link below. Just keep in mind, I'm not going to find this specific one, but honestly the like Yelia one's kind of similar to this if you wanted a bit of a dupe. But let me go ahead and swatch these. Oh my god, the shimmers, they're so creamy. They literally like melt into your skin. And then the mattes are really great as well. I think this would be a great one if you're looking for something small and compact and are really just a shimmer person, or maybe just looking to like embezzle your current collection, right? You have the basics covered and you want something a little extra. This is definitely, you know, she's extra. Last but not least, I do have 2 big palettes from ColourPop to talk about and compare. First, Stone Cold Fox is like the classic cool toned eyeshadow palette. Please ignore the mess that I have of mine. You can tell I use those shades a lot. They got crushed. It's whatever. So this is such a great cool toned option because you have so many different like varieties of cool tones, and but also you have like this neutral row, right? It's not overwhelmingly cool toned. So if you're someone who likes more natural makeup or neutral makeup, like neutral cool tones, it just has so much to play with, and you still get like grays in there. This is just like so good, especially for the price. I think they absolutely knocked it out of the park with the variety of the shimmer formulas. You get those nice mattes in there, like the deep tones to use as eyeliner. You even have a pure black here and a pure white, which I really love to see in palettes. This, you can probably tell, is very well loved from me for a reason. And then we have sort of my new ColourPop big palette. How many eyeshadows are in here? Are these 30 pan? I think they're pretty big. Anyway, this is the Aurora Struck palette. The packaging, I think, is definitely a little prettier than Stone Cold Fox. Maybe that's just because that one's messy. But this is like the slightly more colorful, slightly more pastel like counterpart to Stone Cold Fox. If you like to wear more pinks, more purples, you like pastels, I think this would be a better pick. And you still get these deep colors and they're like muted, so you can still have fun with them and also make them every day. I wouldn't see this and automatically be like, I could do everyday looks with this, but I have been doing them and they're so pretty. I do have this one on my eyes today. Even these soft greens, like just such a pretty soft, like whimsical, ethereal type of color story. Definitely become one of my most grabbed for palettes. These two, really good depending on what kind of vibe you want. I like having both. Forgot to do some swatches, so let me go ahead and pull some of my favorite tones. Let's start with the Stone Cold Fox palette. Okay, so I have a light shimmery pink here, this like mid-tone, more rosy pink. This color here, this one is called Sediment to Be, which is like a taupe. It's just like the perfect tone of taupe. I don't know how to describe it. And then there's like a matte color right below it called Bold Type. I really like using those two together if I want a taupe look. This has really great taupe shades, but also those pinks that I pulled are really great. And these aren't like super pastel. They're more of like a rose pink, right? So they have a little bit more depth to them if you don't like super light pastels, like maybe like the Flower Nose palette or things like that. This first color, this one's called High Latitude. It's like a very, very shiny, like greenish toned, kind of like, it's a gray green, which I love about this palette. The greens are like, they have a lot of gray, they're muted, so they're very wearable. I usually don't like green eyeshadow, and like this palette got me loving green eyeshadow. Speaking of green, there's also that one there, which is called Arctic Fox. I'm not gonna swatch any of the purples because I do have them on my lids today. So let's do this pink called Atmosphere. It's very muted. It has like this, very like toned down, muted, like grayish rose. This shade too, it's called Head North. It's really shimmery, like it has a slight yellowness to it, but it's a white metallic. It's so pigmented. I know those were all shimmers. There's also the great mattes too, but hope you can tell that how versatile and pretty both of these palettes are. There's really so many directions that you could take this palette. I'm even looking at like these bottom three here for like a smokier look. wow. If you're loving these picks, let me help you find your perfect palette and other makeup favorites. Click the link below to get your own personalized recommendations from me. And final reminder that spots are limited and the first 5 people will get a personalized video, so don't miss out on that first launch opportunity because I probably won't be doing that ever again. I'm not gonna launch it once ever again, that's true. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I'm gonna go ahead and put another one of my cool tone makeup guides on the screen here so we can keep hanging out. I'll see you over there. Bye.